because Ndi Igbo worked against themselves. And we are talking about marginalization. Nigeria stands on 3 tripods: Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. Is it not worrisome that while the Hausas and Yorubas have taken more than 1 turn in the presidency, Igbos are still docilely waiting? My question is, waiting for who? Power is taken, not given. The other problem with our politics is our political office recruitment system, which has ignored merit and has tilted towards mediocrity. In the old Igbo traditional collegiate leadership, what gave you a seat at the table was hard work and success. So, the best hunter, the best wrestler, the best farmer, and so on, successful people with pedigree, track record, and character were the ones the villages sent to the elders' council. Today, in Igbo land, what qualifies a good number of our people to public office are mundane and pedestrian considerations. Those more likely to get to office to represent our people are the guy or guys, or the guy who carries a bag for the governor, or the guy who cleans the senator's shoes, his barber, his PA, or the chief thug of the chairman of the party. At the end, these, in quotes please, servant leaders, because they are servant leaders, get to office confused and lost. And before they get their bearing, the tenure is over, and they return with billions of naira in their pocket to cause trouble in our communities. Painfully, if nothing is done, 2027 will be more disastrous. One of the biggest issues in Nigeria today is state creation. And what you hear in Igbo land is a staccato of voices and cacophony of presentations. Discordant tunes that may deny the Southeast its right to getting at least 2 more states. It beats the imagination of many, not just me, why Igbos, for something as important as this, are not speaking with one voice, or even in a room having a conversation about it. Why did governors of the Southeast, or Hanes and Igbo, not convoke a meeting before now to make an effort towards consensus, or come up with a well-articulated strategy, or to demand for additional states for the Southeast? This is the same way we have handled the agitation for a better treatment of Ndi Igbo by the government of Nigeria. Instead of collaboration between the agitators and the Igbo intelligentsia and leaders, there was a complete disconnect. There was not even an agreement among Igbos on whether we should exit Nigeria or constructively engage in Nigerian state from within. It was just confusion. Igbos continued working at cross purposes, and no meaningful progress has been made to confront the ill treatment of Igbos, or whether you call it marginalization or what, by the Nigerian state. No meaningful progress. Igbo unity and oneness is another kettle of fish. In 2017, Peter Opaleke from Anambra State, now Cardinal Opaleke, was posted to Ahia Rambise Catholic Diocese. as bishop, but was stoutly rejected by his fellow Igbo people, who tagged his posting as discrimination in Igbo land. For 8 long years, they were up in arms until the bishop resigned and the Pope had to withdraw him. But thank God today, he is a cardinal of the Catholic Church. Is there something others are doing differently in Nigeria? During the Obasanjo regime, the South-South region mounted a campaign for the presidency. At that time, I worked for Chief Raymond Dokbesi, founder of Ray Power and AIT, who was one of the pillars of that agitation. So I had a somewhat front row seat. One thing I noticed was that the riotous political atmosphere in the South-South quietened, and sworn enemies made up. Political opponents started collaborating and planning. While the militants made the creeks ungovernable, disrupting oil production, the political leaders, elites, and elders were engaging the Nigerian authorities. It didn't happen in our case. Confusion. I also discovered that a good number of their political office holders were providing the resources for the advocacy and efforts made towards the agitation and engagements. There were a lot of planning, openly and covertly. And as they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to lose. A question for the Igbos. Their media owners were empowered, funded, and galvanized to drive the campaign. I remember in 2000, as a staff of AIT, we were going to be shut down by those we had borrowed money to start the business. It was the leaders of the South-South, besides Nigerians that contributed 50 kobo, 1 naira, it was the leaders, political leaders of South-South that found a way around it, that provided the money for AIT to survive. That is what regions that know what they are doing do. In summary, every hand was on deck, and there was common purpose by the people of the South-South. The South-South did not win the presidency in 2007, but Jonathan became vice president, and the rest is history. Tinubu is today the Nigerian president. Because of Tinubu, everyone in Nigeria knows the meaning of Emiloko. For the man, also known as the Jagaban, to have the audacity to say it was his turn, there was a lot of investment and planning. He was not given power. He took it. Some even says he seized it. While Tinubu was governor, and after he left office, he invested and continued to invest in human beings. He left office in 2007. All over Yoruba land, Tinubu identified young leaders, made some commissioners, gave them positions, mentored them, and empowered them. He guided and protected their political growth. One became vice president, some became governors, some became ministers, and many ended up in the National Assembly. His mentees were everywhere, pulling strings, including in other regions of the country. And we saw what happened in 2023. For 16 whole years, Mr. Tinubu never sought office. Rather, Mr. Tinubu provided a ladder for others to climb, while his contemporaries in Igbo land were busy betraying their kinsmen and contesting for any available office with people young enough to be their children. For 16 years, Tinubu organized the Yorubas. Of course, not all Yorubas agreed with him, but a good number of them bought into his vision. Tinubu also knows how to engage other tribes. As part of the 2015 election approached, he, with other opposition leaders, gave birth to APC, where we learned he had to give up the vice presidency just to ensure that the coalition project succeeded and Buhari became president. He allowed his commissioner to become vice president. He didn't say it must be me, because he had a nation's agenda, the Yoruba man's agenda. He knew that that would help it. So he stepped down. He killed his ambition at that time. Under the AC platform, 4 years earlier, Tinubu had supported another northerner called Nuhu Ribadu, if you remember, who is today his national security advisor. Today, Bola Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. What do I think Ndi Igbo should be doing? Ndi Igbo must define their purpose, their objective, and their mission. Ohaneze Ndi Igbo should be repurposed and made relevant, or a new organization should be founded. As the apex socio-political body in Igbo land, Ohaneze must reflect that status in character and in action. The Ohaneze and Igbo leaders should stop sheepishly following state governors and political office holders about. Ohaneze should be the voice of reason and provide the proper direction for Ndi Igbo. Our wealthy sons and daughters, both at home and abroad, must get involved with raising funds to support Igbo causes. If organizations like Ohaneze are well funded, they will be more independent and they will be able to appropriately represent Ndi Igbo interest rather than the interest of transient political office holders. Collaboration is key to development. Actually, collaboration has become the currency of today. I believe that for the Southeast to make any intentional progress, the 5 states of Southeast need to work together, and we need the governors to drive it. Dubai is an emirate in the United Arab Emirates. A lot of us here have been to Dubai. It is like a state or a region in Nigeria. Dubai is not the richest emirate in UAE, but there was an intentional effort by its leaders to develop Dubai, and then other emirates, including the richest Abu Dhabi, started playing catch up, trying to copy Dubai. And today, Dubai has become the greatest destination in the world. Achieving it is not rocket science, but needs dexterous planning and execution. Instead of turning one state in the Southeast into an unachievable and unsustainable Dubai in Africa, can we turn the Southeast into that El Dorado? A true Southeast development body needs to be instituted, funded, and made functional to drive such collaborations. Unlike what we had seen in the past, this body must have a life of its own and funding structured in such a way that it is not dependent on the whims of a particular governor or individual dashing us money. The Southeast must partner in what I want to call joint regional projects in different sectors. For example, a rail line or a monorail connecting the 5 southern eastern states, starting from ENUGU through Oka all the way to Onitsha, and then goes all the way to Owerri, connects to Aba, comes through Umuahia, goes to Ebonyi, and returns to Enugu. Will not only be viable, but will be attractive to any investor, as it will be easy for a return on investment. I remember when I was serving in the Enugu government, the Enugu state government wanted to do a monorail. Even then, I argued that who was going to sustain a monorail for Enugu state? Will the monorail only go from New Market to Abani Road, or from Abani Road to Udi? It will not be sustainable. So we need, a bigger elephant in the room for this to happen. A regional highway linking the 5 eastern states is also achievable. Why, for instance, can the Southeast have a regional first-class university owned by the 5 states that would train the best brains in Igbo land? Or an ultra-modern hospital comparable to the best in the world? Why can't it happen? Somebody should tell me why. A simple AI query I made gave me this, and I quote: "The Igbo people are a significant economic force in Nigeria, known for the entrepreneurial spirit, robust trade networks, and contributions to various sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and small businesses. Their strong emphasis on apprenticeship and networking, along with their resilience, has fueled their economic success despite challenges." Unquote. Today, Igbos dominate a lot of sectors in Nigeria. In retail, in aviation, in hospitality, Igbos have their fingers in many pies. We need to sit down to discuss how these areas of advantage can be strengthened and exploited for the good of the Southeast. Igbos must invest more in manufacturing to create more value chains, especially in the creation of jobs and employment. In the early 90s, former governor of Anambra State, Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezeife, God bless his soul, championed the Think Home philosophy, which encouraged Igbo entrepreneurs to bring their businesses home, including those in diaspora. There is no better time to do it but now. Every day our brothers and sisters doing business in other parts of Nigeria and the world complain of attacks from their hosts. Our brothers in Ghana are going to be thrown out because one of our brothers said he wanted a kingdom and they sold land to him, and when he wanted to develop and feel good, now they want to throw out all the Nigerians. Our governments in the Southeast must create a welcoming and conducive atmosphere to attract these entrepreneurs back home. This new trend in the